Hello, everybody, and welcome back to HVAC Shop Talk live, just like I like it. It's the most fun and the most unpredictable, which is suited for me. I think it's perfect. I have a whole slew of announcements here. We're gonna have another show on Sunday night, 9 p.m., just like last Sunday, just like next Sunday. I don't know if we're gonna play the skilled trade up tonight because it really depends on how much time we have left. And it's like I was telling. Beforehand, anytime I have any guest on the show, I'll tell them a certain amount of time. It might be 30 minutes, it might be an hour, it might be 45 minutes, and it's always like you take that and multiply by 2 and add 10 minutes, and that's the actual time that the show goes. So that may actually be, what happens here tonight. So we may not play Skill Trade Up. Let's see. The YouTube streamer is telling me we have a really low bit rate, which is always something I love to see right when a show starts. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully that's not a critical moment in time right there. What's up, Ted? Ted is here. He says live. Hopefully all you guys can hear me out there. If you can hear me, let me know, because it'll make me feel a whole lot better after seeing some kind of weird thing on the screen that says there's a low bit rate, because that's exactly the opposite of what I want to see. And, well, let's see. What do we have going on here? We had Ralph last week for the first time in about 2 years. That was pretty exciting. I am going to have Tersh coming up here real soon because I want to talk to Tersh about, I want him to be in here talking about maintenance plans and how you form a great maintenance plan strategy for your business, because a lot of people value their businesses based on the maintenance plan, which is really, really important. And Tersh has a very successful business. He has multiple businesses. And he's just one of those guys that's easy to talk to, has all the cool tattoos. Yep. Well, Ted, I see all of your chats, but for some reason the chats are not showing up, and the audio stream bit rate says it is 0. So I think there might be a problem, and I'm going to troubleshoot it live on the air. So let me see what I can do here. We have a problem. Let me see. I'm going to look down through here. I have to remember, Zach, edit this stuff out later. That'll be perfect. If anybody's out there and, let's see. Yep, I see. Is this live? Did I get the right video? We have a problem out there, and I'm going to see if I can't fix that. Let me see. Yeah, everything looks fine on this end, guys. Yeah, let me know out there, because we're having some sort of very interesting thing happening. I see chat showing up over here now. Says, I like the cross. Good evening. Did I get the right video? You guys are making me paranoid. I don't need anybody coming in here saying, did you get the right video? Because I'm going to start thinking, how many videos were there? And what do I need to be doing? I see all the chats coming through now. Frylock says it's fine. I didn't fix anything. So something just happened. I'm not quite sure what it is. Great. Now my nerves are up for the entire rest of the show. So, Sam, good, live and in person. We are here again. Frylock still at work. All right. So if you want to, at any point, whenever we do call-ins to this show, the number is 910-970-0043. Put it into your phone. It'll go even faster that way. You can make sure you get your call in there, because sometimes I don't hit that button right away and you won't see it on the screen. If you ever need to contact me, hvacshoptalk@gmail.com. That's where you can find me. That's where I will be. Maybe not immediately after you send it, but eventually I will get it. And if I don't get it, you can keep sending it to me. Go ahead and spam me like all the guys who email me every day saying that their boss needs to be on the podcast talking about his great product. There's about 5 of those every day. The guy who invented some kind of new motor, he's very persistent. And all of these marketeers are flooding my emails with Joe Blow, the company owner who's made $20 million a day and wants to give away his secret, but he's saving it for my podcast. I'm like, this is great. I appreciate it. This seems like a lot of fun. We'll do that. Ted, you should fire your guy. Your guy is quite a character. He's bad for business. So what I'm going to do here is before, it seems like people can see me and hear me. So using that good luck, I'm just going to transition over. I'm going to just play like one sponsor thing to make sure y'all don't disappear. And then I'm going to come back right after that. And we're going to talk to Trevor about some CO2 stuff. So stick around. We'll be right back. Company Cam is the only app every contractor needs. Document your jobs, communicate with your crews, cover your company's butt. Every photo and video taken with Company Cam is always attached to a project, geotagged, date and time stamped, and user attributed. With Company Cam, you can impress your customers by showing them real-time progress, give them a full scope of your work, and show the proof at the times when you need to. Company Cam is also compatible with many, many different integrations, including apps like Jobber and House Call Pro. You can try Company Cam for free for 14 days, so head over to companycam.com to learn more. Alrighty then. Okay, we're going to see if this whole thing works. I hope it does. Keep your fingers crossed, everybody, because I'm going to bring in Trevor here, and if it works, we're actually going to learn something tonight. But if it doesn't work, then I'm just going to talk about different kinds of air conditioners and which one is my favorite based on some kind of subjective experience that I had with it. So that'll be my alternate plan. But before we go to that, I'm going to just do Goodman's Leak. I'm going to just give it away. That's what it's going to be about. So I'm going to bring Trevor in here. Let's see if it plops up and the whole thing crashes. Here we go. Oh my gosh, it worked. I can't believe it.
Magic.
Yeah, it is magic because the whole thing looks like it was falling apart throughout the internet for a second there, so I was scared.
Don't have to be scared.
Well, that's like the worst thing for the streaming because every now and then you'll look down there and the YouTube will have like a nice yellow strip across the screen that says low bit rate, and then my heart starts beating twice as fast, and which is kind of exhilarating, actually. Yeah, it's like, yeah. Since my beats per minute are 50, 100 is really not that bad. So most people are 100 just walking around. No. So how's it going, dude? It's the first time you've been on the show, and glad to have you. And got a lot of experience. You're going to educate us all heavily tonight, I hear.
I hope so.
That was our only option, heavily educated.
Love it. Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate being on the show.
No problem. I feel like because you're doing the refrigeration mentor thing, you should probably start off just talking about, you could hit your experience, like who you are and all that, but tell us about that too, because I know it's a big thing for you right now.
Yeah. So refrigeration mentor, it's all about training, education, and mentorship. And I started this company about 10 months ago because I really want to give back to the industry. I really want to help out technicians in the field and really focus on senior technician as well. I was a technician 6-7 years in, and I still didn't have a lot of confidence. I was good at what I did. I thought I was good, but I wasn't great. And I know there's a lot of technicians that are 7-10 years out there, never had real training. Maybe they went to an apprenticeship program, but there was nothing afterwards. There's no like at year 7, you don't have to take anything in refrigeration or HVAC. You get your license and you get your license. You don't have to do any more training. And there's so many technicians out there that I met over the years that it was like, I wish there was some more training. And even contractors themselves, like, I wish there was more training for my technicians to have, because there's just not much out there. And usually what it is, they got to travel to certain locations. I used to work at a company called Emerson Copeland, and I used to be the lead trainer there. And we'd have people flying in from all over the world to come to some of the CO2 trainings that I was putting on, or other trainings as well. And it's a big expense. And not all contractors or technicians can do that. And so I built this platform to make it very easy for technicians who want to grow their career. I want to take technicians from good to great in a shorter amount of time.
I like it. You said Emerson. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
They make some sort of compression device. Yeah. The Sure Switch. I got you.
Yeah, that company there. They make a couple refrigeration components, eh?
Yeah. It's funny. There's probably a guy out there that's just wandering through life going, "Oh, Emerson, that's the people that make the Sure Switch, right?" Yeah, and the compressors, the compressors. Yeah.
To be honest, when I started working for them 7 or 8 years ago, and somebody said Emerson's hiring, and I'm like, "Who's Emerson?" And that's what I said. The people that make Copeland. What? Emerson makes Copeland?
Oh, I guess
That was
that's
the
true.
thing.
There's a one word gap in between that sometimes. Coast Copeland, yeah,
Yeah,
you don't
I knew
necessarily
Copeland
think of it.
inside out. I worked on that for 10 years before joining them, and yeah, so it was kind of funny. So it's probably still happening out there. They're doing a good
Absolutely.
job now with branding, though. Everything has Emerson on it, where 10 years ago the Copeland compressors didn't have Emerson on it or all their components. So they're doing better at the branding.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. I think that whole genre of people's existence has gotten better. Branding with all this stuff with Instagram
Yeah,
and TikTok and everything, we're
yeah,
all brands now.
yeah.
Everybody has their own set of stickers and sells T-shirts with their face on them. Doesn't matter if they're teaching anything. It's just in life. I'm the guy at the grocery store. This is my face. $29.99.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, but it's cool because it sounds like what you're doing is for technicians. Is that right? Is it a technically based program or is it business based or a mixture?
I got lots on the go, to be honest with you. Right now, I'm focusing on the technicians to help business owners. Um, and I said technicians, but I really mean refrigeration professionals. And I'm trying to change that technician name. Lots of people like technician or mechanic, but we're really refrigeration professionals. We take care of our business professionally. We do things that most trades cannot do, from electrical to plumbing to to technical troubleshooting. There's so much that we do from install, and we're professionals. And I think the more I call us refrigeration professionals, the more people will start looking at refrigeration differently. And that's what I'm trying to do, is make a difference in the industry. So I'm starting out with technicians. I have trained manufacturers, I've trained wholesalers. I got people calling me from all over the world to just learn on different types of refrigeration. But my focus right now is to help businesses, contractors grow their businesses by developing the best technicians. If I can reduce costs by less callbacks, by reduced turnover rates, by having more confident technicians out there in the field, that's going to grow their business. And people, I've seen it already. I got multiple contracts. I'm working for. They're already repeat hire me. They're hiring me for the fall already, say, because we're busy in the summer. They're saying, and the thing that they're saying is that they see their technicians with a different light when they're going out to troubleshoot after the program. Like, just, and maybe it's because they didn't have any training. And it's not the contractors cannot do the trainings. The contractors have other things they need to do. A lot of the businesses are like, oh, you're the service manager, you should be training all of them. Well, the service manager has a full-time job. And that's what a lot of business do, tries to put the training on other people in the business. Oh, you're the lead technician, you can train all the technicians. It's not everyone's a trainer, and it's not easy to do, to build a program that works. And so many technicians learn differently. And I've been learning this over the years. Some like to work more with their hands, some are visual, some like to read. And you need to pick up on this, and you need to train and work with them. You can't just have one style of training and think it's going to work for everyone. So that's what I bring to the table for contractors.
Just kind of reflecting back to what you just said. So if I were to say that a service manager, let's just say the term service manager does not necessarily mean anything to do with trainer. Really, legitimately, it's not a trainer. It's just somewhat a de facto trainer by position.
Yeah.
So maybe not the most beneficial way to think of them, because they need training as well. So where do they go? There's no service manager for the service manager.
Yeah.
That's you, right? That's you. You're going to come in and help them, and hopefully it'll trickle down, or the whole company. How does that work? Do whole companies watch you train? How does it work? How does your whole business work? Do you go to different places to the companies?
Great question. So I have a few different models right now. It's a virtual model, so it's a blended learning. So I could work with a contractor that is in multiple states, and it's virtual. So live Zoom calls, kind of like this, but I meet with all the technicians before. I have smaller courses, but I talk with the technicians. I get to know them, try to find out what they're good at. What do they need to learn? And this is for more senior technicians. It's not for new technicians, because my goal is to help technicians been in the field 5, 7, 10 years who understand refrigeration, but just need that little bit, that boost, that motivation, that confidence builder, to have someone tell them, you're doing it right. I like having groups where it's a mix too. Technicians from 6, 8, 10, 20 years. I'm doing a course right now with strictly supermarket contractor. That's all the techs do is supermarket. And it's between, I believe, they're 5 years and 20 years in this course. And I like a mix of that because in refrigeration HVAC, you could do it 5 different ways, something, to get the same result. So in my courses, I'm more of a facilitator, to be honest with you. I'm trying to pick different parts from each of them to come up with a solution to problems that I'll have in the course, depending on what course it is, and get them to learn from each other. And they're really they like that because the way the industry is now, you're a phone call away. That's your training. You're a phone call away. It's not like you're beside a journeyman and you're there 4 or 5 years working with them. It's the price of technicians, especially here in Canada, is contractors can't afford that. You know, that journeyman here in Canada is about $50 an hour. And then you have a $25 an hour apprentice. That kind of it's hard to charge that out, those rates. So you're pretty much a phone call away at a lot of companies that I've been seeing. And so with this model here, the way I do it and the way I present it, it has been working. Well, this is the feedback I'm getting from the business owners when I meet with them afterwards. They're saying, I really like it because you can do the training at specific times where the technicians still can go to work and still have a full day of work. Because I don't do full day trainings either. Like a lot of people, can you do this in one day? Well, I can, but for me, the learning is a process. You know, you've been in HVAC for a long time. I've been in refrigeration for a long time, and I'm still learning. You can't teach someone to become a master at something in one day. So I like teaching each week little tidbits. And if they can take one thing away each week and implement that in their daily practice of refrigeration, I'm winning. I keep telling all the business owners, if I can have your technician be 1% better after a 6, 8, 12-week course, that's golden for you. That ROI is very quick. As you know, compressors are expensive. So I do compressor masterclass for an example. So a 6-cylinder compressor fails because they think it fails. Maybe it's a valve plate or something. Changing that compressor that's on the roof where you need to get a lift or you got to get a helicopter to drop it in, that pays for the whole course for really all the technicians a lot of the time. And and I'm just trying to, my whole goal is to guide these technicians to become better and want to be better, because a lot of them already know the stuff. A lot of the technicians, they know the stuff, but they really enjoy having the conversation. My motto is, let's get a conversation going. And that's what I do in my program is let's get a conversation going. And that's what we do. We talk in these programs. We learn from each other. I learn a lot. And at the end of it, I'm just hearing a lot of positive things from the business owners and from the technicians. And I know this is going to help grow those businesses in ways that they may not see right away, but those callbacks are going to start to drop off, that turnover rate for sure. And I want to grow with that business. It's not like I just go and do a training and that's it. I want to work with the rest of the technicians. I want to build programs to work with them more. And I'm working on different mentorship programs right now for other refrigeration professionals as well, like project managers, sales, engineers. But I'm focusing on technicians right now as I'm starting to build my team and my company.
Well, let's see if I can. There's a couple of things I wanted to mention, and
I'll talk your ear off.
Well, I'm thinking of picking up. I wrote down all this stuff. I write down things over a period of like 10 or 15 minutes, and then the initial things, my handwriting's so bad I no longer remember what I wrote, and I can't tell from it. So I was going to say, first, there is a one-day course on how to master everything. It's called YouTube. And you can go on there and you find a plethora of various grades of knowledge. And you'll see. You're on YouTube now.
Yeah,
you're going to be bringing the average up.
Podcast.
Yeah, that's right. You do have a podcast. We should mention that as well, so you can listen to the podcast. I believe you have 10 episodes now.
Look at you. Yeah.
That research team really paid off on this episode. I was going to say, you were talking about the wages as well, and there'll be more solid education later coming from me, I guarantee. The wages, you said $50 an hour for a journeyman in Canada, I believe you said. Well, down here, we're now adjusting all of our wages for inflation. So we all make about 20% less now than we did last week. And it happens each week here. and soon we're all going to enjoy welfare somehow. I don't know how that's going to work since our country has no money. Um, Now, I believe that's really interesting with this project, how it's developing right here, because what I don't hear very often is that people coming at it from a technician's angle. It's always coming from a different angle. It's like, let's teach your technicians, who, however good they are, who cares, how to sell stuff. That's what I hear a lot. Let's teach this guy who just puts stuff in upside down and duct tapes it together. Let's talk about that 6-cylinder compressor. Let's just store it together. No leak test necessary. Fire her up. We'll be gone before they figure this out. It'll be fine. It's frozen. It's fine. I'm sure that's not expensive, but you come at it from a different angle, making money through excellence in the field. I think that's really smart, because here we have a natural skepticism of sales. Every technician in the chat that seems to be attracted to this show is like-minded. It's like, I don't know about salespeople, man. I don't know about salespeople, but there are good salespeople, obviously. But we like the technical aspects. So on that, I do salute you. I think that's very smart to come at it from that angle. And I hope you're much more successful than everybody else teaching sales. I think we can all agree.
What I'm trying to teach these refrigeration professionals I'm training is that I used to say the same thing. I don't like sales. I'm not in the sales. As a refrigeration professional, every day you're selling yourself out on that job, fixing that component, changing that compressor, replacing that valve. You're selling yourself, and you just don't understand it. I am also teaching people mindset and really personal development, a lot of that stuff. But if you're telling yourself you don't like sales and you're a refrigeration professional, technician, you are in sales every day. So
you lost us all now. Okay, we're done.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Absolutely right. We talked about this before. It's like if you sold somebody a contactor relay, you sold something. I mean, you convinced them that they needed it, whether or not it was an easy story because, hey, you have no air conditioning. You might want to get this relay here. But you do sell stuff, like you said, sell yourself through personality or in a more calculated way. But I think we're reserving our judgment for a different type of sales. Really, it's a very slim part of sales, which are duplicitous. We'll say it like that. But we should transition. We should go over to some CO2 stuff, something I know nothing about. So there'll be 100% learning from me today, which is why this is really just a method for me to learn stuff. This whole show is just a method for me to learn things.
Know all about it.
But I worked in residential. I'm a residential guy. I owned a residential company. The only CO2 that I had an experience with was coming out of trees around where I was working. So just a real basic thing. I mean, we know the refrigeration cycle. I'm assuming that's something you expect people to know when they come to your class, the general refrigeration cycle. Yeah. And I would expect that most of these guys here know the same thing. There's a certain level of technical knowledge that I think the chat here, I could look at them and I see they have that. So knowing that, what leap do I have to make mentally to understand CO2 refrigeration from the stuff we all know and love, whether it be R22, whether it be, just standard refrigeration using like 404, just what's the jump we need to make to understand it?
The biggest thing you need to understand is that it's refrigeration.
We got it. We're there.
That's it. I see so many people trying to do a lot of scare tactics. The pressure is high. And this happened when 410 came out, because 410 came out even before I started in the trade, and you're going from 22 or R12 or 502. And then all of a sudden now you got 410, it's 400 PSI or whatever. And now CO2, you can run up to 1400, 1500 PSI. But this is an analogy I want to make. You ever use, a pump jack, a skid pump jack or a skid stir or anything like that have hydraulics on them?
Oh yeah.
Do you know how much pressure is in those lines?
I feel like you're going to wow us with some kind of number here.
Way higher than CO2 refrigeration pressure, just way higher. And you talk to different industries and they'll be like, 1,000 pounds? That is nothing. We're dealing with 10,000 PSI. So it's just all in the mindset. You do your job right as a refrigeration professional, you don't have to worry about it. Just a lot of people are trying to put scare tactics out there. Yes, it's higher pressure. Of course it's higher pressure, because when you look at the thermodynamics of it, at certain pressures or certain temperatures, it's a lot higher pressure than R12 or 404 or R22, but it's still refrigeration. There are a few more components that need to be installed. But if any of your listeners in residential work on any VRV, VRF system, heat pump systems, they've got the same amount of components, only in different places, maybe a few extra. And there are heat pumps, CO2 heat pumps out there now, no different than a 410 heat pump. Once again, it may have a few more components, lots of controls. And what I love about working with CO2 and all the people I deal with and work with, there's a lot of controls. That's great. It's change, it's technology. We all have these cell phones, right? It's so cool. They make it so easy to use, and that's what's going to be like CO2 refrigeration. It's going to be easy to do at some point. But right now, there is a little more learning curve. So in CO2, when you hit 87.8 degrees Fahrenheit, you hit something is the critical point of CO2, and it goes in something called the transcritical state, supercritical fluid, and there's no pressure temperature relationship. And so that's probably one of the biggest things to know about CO2, but all refrigerants have it. We just never talked about it because the temperatures don't get 160 degrees outside.
Well, I mean, no. I wish when you said your phone thing that I had like a rotary phone right here. I lit up and said, "What are you talking about with the phones?"
That would have been good.
If I were just sitting where I'm at, having no experience with it, what I would imagine were giant pipes and levers moving, and like Santa's workshop I thought of when I was a kid. That's what I would expect from CO2, which would almost psych me out of working on it before I ever stepped in the building. I think that's the problem with somebody going toward that direction. It's an intimidation factor. It's like this is a vastly different type of atmosphere. But what I'm hearing from you is there are differences, but it's not as vast as you might imagine.
No, it's like anything. It's new. A lot of people don't like change. That's the thing. It's if you're in residential HVAC, let me put you on an ice machine. How are you going to feel?
Have you ever just lost on an island somewhere?
Lost on an island, or a slushy machine, whatever. It's going to be difficult because you never did it before, right? And it's different. That's the same as CO2. Just a lot of people. I've talked to technicians who've worked on hundreds of systems, installed hundreds of systems. It's easy. They like working on it better than the synthetics, way better.
Well, let me ask you this. If you're working on this stuff, would you expect to be getting readouts of all the things that we would take manual pressures and temperatures on? Would you expect to kind of have just like a highly technical view of something that in residential we would have to be doing manually anyway?
So this is the game changer for CO2. You have to do your job properly.
Oh my gosh.
That's it. I've noticed the change because doing the job, and I see this from a lot of technicians who went into CO2 and back in, and they do both synthetics and CO2. They do a better job. There's no cutting corners with CO2 because they're a little nervous because of the higher pressure, but they're pulling the proper vacuums now.
Yeah, the tension is helpful. Yeah.
They're doing the proper pressure test because, we know it's going to be running at over 1,000 PSI. We better make sure this pressure test holds. People are doing their job better.
We don't want our non-condensables today. We'll be fine. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I like. Why do you call them synthetics?
I don't know. That's because they are a synthetic refrigerant.
But the choice of word, I've never heard someone use the word synthetic, although it's perfectly reasonable to use that word. I had never heard it before. I just wondered what the origin was.
I don't know. I heard it somewhere years ago at Emerson, I'm sure.
Okay. Well, speaking of Emerson, here's one of those natural segues here. We'll see how it works out. So at the heart of the system is the compressor. What change would you expect on a compressor that can handle CO2?
So there's not much. Depending if it's on the subcritical side or the transcritical side. When I talk about the transcritical side, that just means the medium temp side or the cold temperature side. When I talk about subcritical, that's the low temperature side. So really the low temperature or the subcritical side, they're like 410 rated. They run in the same pressures around, they run 200 PSI and 400 PSI. So it's similar to 410. 410 might be running around 135 and 430 or something, you know what I mean? But it's very similar. So now on the higher side, so on the transcritical side, the higher pressure, the medium temperature, they're constructed with a higher burst pressure rating. So what that really means is that they're rated for like 2000 psi compared to their standard compressors that are not that high.
Is that the only difference?
Oh, well, no, well, there's a few other differences, that the cylinders aren't the same because CO2 is way more efficient than other refrigerants. So when you look at a 404A compressor, their cylinders are real big, say for 200,000 BTU compressor. With a CO2 compressors are a lot smaller. And the components inside have to be built a little thicker.
That
But
makes
we need
sense.
technicians to look inside these compressors to understand what's going on. All the compressor manufacturers, and I worked with them for years, what they've seen is a massive decline in technicians inspecting compressors. I was with Tecumseh last week and talking to them, and they had the same issues. And I talked with Bitzer about it. And I worked for Copeland for years and I inspected hundreds to thousands of compressors with technicians over the years. And you can tell if they looked in them or not. And this is what manufacturers want you to do. They want you to look inside to figure the problem out so the next time it doesn't happen. So you understand what caused the failure. So there's not 1, 2, 3, 4 failures of the same problem because you didn't fix the issue. Because a lot of times, oh, it's a compressor issue. Oh, it's a DOA, dead on arrival. No. These compressor manufacturers make good compressors. The big ones anyway.
Yeah, I think I was talking to my friends at East Coast, which is a distributor here in North Carolina, and they'll have 20 compressors sitting out back, and likely 10 to 15 of them are still functional. They were just turned in because of a boo-boo and troubleshooting. Happens quite a bit, evidently. We did have someone that mentioned something in the chat real quick, which is going to lead me into something else here. It says, really high pressures, they're going to leak. They're gonna eventually leak because the pressure's so high.
Why?
What's your experience?
Why are they going to leak?
Well, I guess because whoever's joining them together is. I
Once again,
don't
it's
know.
not the system's problem.
Yeah, it's most likely not the system's problem. But what about
leak.
Where do they typically leak? So, just in your experience, if they do,
Where does a residential unit leak?
I feel like I'd write a song about this.
There you go.
Like
So that's where
tableau
they
service valves evaporator. You know?
That's where they leak on CO2 systems too.
So no surprises there. How are the pipes joined typically in CO2?
So on the high side, the high pressure side, the transcritical side, they use 2 different types of materials. There could be stainless steel, or they could be using a type of copper called K65. So it's high pressure rated copper that can handle up to, I think it might be 1900. It's 130 bar, 135 bar, which is around 1900 psi. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to look it up again. But it's higher pressure copper. There's iron in it, so it makes it a higher burst pressure rating. So you can use copper or stainless steel. Most manufacturers are using stainless steel because copper is more expensive right now anyway. And a lot of technicians know how to work with copper.
So, for reference, if you say bar, we're just going to tune you out because we're going to need to hear inches, feet, no meters. No, I'm just kidding with you.
Yeah.
I think I understand. I saw a bar on one of my gauges. You know, it's much larger than the PSI.
Or you were there and drinking at the bar.
Drinking at the bar, yeah.
So 1 bar equals 14.5 psi. There you go.
Oh,
Learn something tonight.
That's almost atmosphere at sea level. That's really close. Huh. It's like that's intentional almost, I feel.
Yeah, it is probably intentional.
I feel like that is intentional. Well, I was just wondering how many zoom lock fittings are on these things. Because
maybe they're making them higher pressure rated, those zoom lock fittings. So
they can take it. They can take it, man. I saw them testing them. They go up to like 3,500 psi before they, the pipe busts. It's not even the fitting that busts.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was curious about how they join the piping. If there's a guy up there brazing, which I imagine there's not.
It's TIG welding or welding, and if it's copper, then it's brazed. Like,
I want to be that guy. That guy makes a ton of money.
It's not about the money; it's about the journey.
It can be about both, though, right?
Yeah.
A journey without money is harder.
Yeah, it is. Refrigeration professionals. This is what I was talking with Brian Orr about this the other day. Is about we do not get trained on finance. And this is the problem in North America and Canada heavily. Like, I went to university and I took finance and I still didn't understand finance. Right? So that's a problem. So we need to educate refrigeration professionals on how to be a bit smarter with our money. And like you make 100, 150 grand a year easily here in Canada. You can 100 to 150 grand a year in refrigeration, and you're still living paycheck to paycheck. How is that possible?
I don't know what the exchange rate is, but I'm wondering how it's
It's like
possible as well.
$2 US or something.
So if it's still like 75 or 80 grand, I mean, for most of the U.S., you can live on that. There's certain pockets that you really can't, but I'm sure it's the same way up there.
Yeah.
Once you live in the country, you go to, I don't know, Toronto, it probably costs a whole lot more. First Canadian city I could think off the top of my head.
Well, you got one. At least you,
I
knew
did.
one.
I didn't say Seattle or something
Yeah.
like that, which is good. That was my next guess. So, what about the applications for CO2? I mean,
Oh,
I
I love this
assume
question.
at my house, I'd like to put a CO2 heat pump that you were talking about. That's probably not going to happen. But where would you see one?
Oh yeah, it will happen. They have them at your house. If you could have them.
I'll take one then. Where's this?
Yeah.
Where's this thing at? It's not at Johnstone.
No, no, not yet. But they started back in 2000 in Japan doing CO2 water heaters and heat pumps back in 2000, I think. So that's 22 years ago. And you'll see them in applications. So ice rink applications, you could see them. So there's direct and indirect CO2 systems where it's actually all CO2 in the system, and use CO2 compressors and a pump CO2 out to the ice. Indirect would be using like HFC high side, primary side, and then you have CO2 pumped out, kind of like a glycol system. If you know what ever heard of a glycol system, there is in supermarkets transcritical booster systems. So that is all 100% CO2. So on the medium temp side and the low temp side. Then you have cascade systems where you would have, say, a synthetic or an HFC or an HFO on the primary side, and then you'd have CO2 like direct expansion on the secondary side. And what else is there? There's CO2 pump systems. Then this is where you're pumping CO2 kind of like a glycol out to the system, but it's more efficient than glycol because you're getting both the sensible heat transfer as well as latent heat transfer in those evaporators. And so you see the chillers now, Pro Refrigeration. Got one I think in Seattle. They built one of the first ones in North America. They may not be the first, or they may be. I'm going to do a podcast with Damon, who's their lead guy there, in a few weeks. But they got a chiller. So in chiller applications, you see them in pop fridges. I've seen them in like Coca-Cola, little small mini fridges.
Oh, interesting. So small applications too. I've never heard of them in small applications. Well, I've never heard of most of the stuff you just said, actually. But here's my best guess at trying to ask you if what I have learned here is correct, and it's not going to be. So let's get past that right now. So you just described like 7 different things very quickly, and the different CO2 systems, and you're saying pumping them out like glycol, meaning that the medium that you're pumping out, like a chiller would pump out water, instead you're pumping out CO2.
That's right. So you're using a circulator, and it's circulating that liquid CO2 through to your cases or through your evaporators or your coils, I guess.
So it's like a double effect. You have the CO2 circulating through that system, and you have, I guess, now bear with me here while I'm trying to learn this stuff. So you have it pumping somewhere, and you have some expansion there, and coming back, just like a refrigeration cycle with another refrigeration cycle. Am I understanding that correctly?
So you use solenoids, and so as the temperature starts to rise, the solenoid would open. It would let the CO2 through the coil, and as it goes through the coil, you're getting sensible heat, but as well as you will get some latent heat transfer in it, where glycol is only sensible heat. And yes, it's a second medium, so you're just pumping that through, and then it comes back to the main pump station, and then you'll have like a plate heat exchanger there, and as it goes through there, you have a primary side. So you'd have the primary refrigerant, say, is 134A, 404, 448, 449, one of many refrigerants, R29A. And what it'll do, it will drop the CO2 into this big vessel, and that vessel will be connected to a circulator, and the circulator will push the refrigerant through.
All right, let's go to the next part where I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, So you said solenoid valve opening up, CO2 is going into an evaporator. Is it metering in any way or just opening fully?
Just opening. Well,
Okay, so there's
there be inside there. There's certain size of solenoids because you need to size them properly. Because this is one thing about I've seen a lot when I worked for Emerson. Because I used to train all the wholesalers, and a lot of people would just size it on the line size. Oh, it's 5/8. I need a 5/8. Well, there's 3/8, 5/8, 7/8 of all the same tonnage. You don't just need 5/8. You need to understand the reasoning why you're using a solenoid valve. Okay, so it's no different in CO2. So
that's interesting. It's really interesting. I would use the 5/8 probably, but then again, like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. So you could potentially have to use a smaller solenoid valve. Does that
yeah,
somehow?
you
I
could.
don't know. Not typically metering, but is it somewhat metering, being smaller than the line size?
No,
Okay.
no, you'll have a different MOP maybe, so maximum operating pressure differential. But I've seen going from, especially on electronic valves, going from like 1.5 so all the way down to like 7/8, and it's getting your tonnage that you need. So,
That's
or in
really interesting.
1 and 1, because that blew my mind the first time I seen it. I'm like, whoa, pressure drop, what's going on here? And then it may go back up. Usually it doesn't, but depending on the application it's in though, because I've seen it that way.
Interesting. But a
Yeah,
design pressure drop nonetheless.
yeah, there will be some pressure drop, I'm sure. I don't know the exact engineering numbers.
Well, we'll hold on here for a minute and go. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Let's call the people who do that. And
Yeah, do it. Call them. Let's
well,
talk to
no,
them. Get them on here. I want to
they're
know.
already here. Here you
Let
are.
me know. Tell me.
No, just for the last part of my understanding, which I have to believe that at least there's one other moron like me in the chat that's going like, that is a good question. So you have this CO2 being pumped out, and you have this other refrigerant outside, and the reasoning the CO2 isn't the refrigerant outside is because of the temperature in the environment outside.
So outside, you're using that synthetic refrigerant. So the primary
Right.
side is a different medium. It's a different refrigerant. And that one there would have your condenser say outside. So it'd be a normal refrigeration system. But the evaporator for that would be like the condenser for that CO2 side. Just
I got
quick
you.
example.
But why not use CO2? Why use the other refrigerant?
Okay, well, depending on where you're at in the world, when you use CO2 in high ambient locations, it costs there's a lot of penalties. We talk about COP, energy cost. So you have to add different technologies to make it more efficient. And over the years, over the last 15 years, a lot of the manufacturers, contractors have been developing things for high ambient strategies. So you could have a CO2 transcritical system in Phoenix. That's the way it was done before. It's still done in tons of industrial with ammonia. Ammonia goes through plants and more cascade or pumped secondary pump systems. But you will see going forward more and more full CO2 systems
Oh, that's pretty cool.
because
All
of
right.
regulations, environmental concerns, and things like that.
That's a good point. Environmental concerns. So the GWP of this is like what, 1 or 2
Look at
or
you.
something?
You know your stuff. You're like an
Oh, this,
expert at CO2.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Now you're insulting the intelligence of the entire chat. No, GWP maybe. The rest of the stuff you just said, no. I'll work on that later. I'll get a book that has pictures, and I'll
Oh
read about
boy.
that. No, but I know it's just a natural refrigerant, really low GWP, but it is almost nothing. Correct?
Yeah, it's one. It's the baseline, and the thing about it, it's like the most efficient refrigerant. Like it's the net refrigeration effect is skyrocketing, like way above 404 and all the other refrigerants. The only other one that's really above it's ammonia. Ammonia has like the best net refrigeration effect, and that's why it's been used for 100 years. But people are scared of that too. Oh my God, it's ammonia. It's dangerous. It's toxic. We've been using it for hundreds of years.
That's true. And now we have other hydrocarbons like propane. So, all right, let me ask you this: since we have propane, GWP is really low, and it doesn't explode at all. I'm just kidding. Ammonia's got the same problem, but if you're using something is developed in the future for your home, is it likely to be propane or likely to be CO2? think in the distant future, what would you expect to see?
No refrigerant at some point.
I like this. What's going to happen? We're going to have some sort of like nuclear powered air conditioner
I
that
don't
sits outside
know,
and floats.
but I really think at some point we'll have some sort of technology that we're not going to use refrigerants at all. Yeah, I don't
I
know
like
what it
your
is,
boldness. I like that.
but the compressor. I've said this at Copeland when I was even working there. Like, who's coming up with the design where you don't need a compressor anymore? And it's already like there's things out there. There's technology out there that's already doing that in really small applications. But at some point, we're not going to need this stuff. Have you ever watched Star Wars and Star Trek and all these things? Technology keeps evolving. Hoverboards from the Back to the Future. There's hoverboards now. Might have took a little longer
It's
than
like
they
7 years
said.
too late on the hoverboard.
Yeah, but it's here. You know what I mean? So it's not going to be different with this. We're going to come out with technology that's going to replace refrigerants because it is very harmful for the environment. Climate change.
I'm curious
One
because
of
at
many things.
Emerson, the day you said they didn't need compressors anymore, is that the day they decided to say, "Man, you got to go work somewhere else now"?
Yeah, that's like Trevor, you're out. No, it's just that's what they're, and I'm sure they are thinking of that. How do they evolve? Right? They got to keep up because if whoever comes out with that technology is going to displace all the compressor manufacturers. It might be another 50 years, 75 years, but we need to
Yeah.
start thinking as a society, as a race, way down the road for our future, our great grandkids, because what we're doing to the planet right now is not that great.
Well,
Even myself personally, I try to recycle, I try to do all the environmental things, but it's definitely still not enough for the amount of consumption that we do here in the Western world.
the reason why we were dumping so many fossil fuels out there is because Canada seems so cold. We're just trying to be nice, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just want to give you a little bit of Florida up there.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You guys seem upset
It
now
is.
about it.
Yeah, not at all. It's probably 100 degrees out here today. So 30.
What the world? Not for real. It's not even 100 here.
Oh, it's
Man.
way where I live. I moved to this place in Ontario, Canada, southwestern Ontario, because it has probably the best weather in Canada. It's like in the top of California, where when you look at a globe and the weather here, we get summer here because I lived all over Canada. We get summer here probably starting at the middle of April a lot of the times, all the way to November. It's a pretty good range of summer.
What a weird little wormhole. Okay.
Yeah.
That's strange. There's like a hole that
Sometimes it's
comes up in
only the
Arizona.
middle of October, but I try to push it to November.
Hey, but still, I mean, that's pretty good. When I imagine Canada, all my information comes from watching the show Ice Road Truckers.
Yeah.
So,
They all live in igloos. I got
I'll
one
live.
right out back.
Yeah, all you guys, I don't even know the name of the villages because I guess they're Inuit villages up there or something like that, and I can't pronounce them. I assume that was the entirety of Canada, other than what I saw from Niagara Falls. I did see whatever that is, St. Catharines or whatever is across the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, this seems like the transition period. I just feel it. I'm just a natural podcaster. It'll come to you in time, Trevor.
No, thank you.
You'll feel it too. I'm full of crap. That's what's apparent. But no, it's what's coming up for you. What's happening in the future as far as your business? What's your next step? What would you like to see happen?
So my next step is, how do I make a bigger difference in the industry? How do I get more people to learn about refrigeration? How do I get more people to get into this industry? I go around to high schools and I talk to grade 9s, grade 10s, grade school people, talk about refrigeration, HVAC. I'm a huge supporter on how we as an industry can get more people to get into this awesome career, this amazing life you can have. And it's not, I need to work with a lot of different people, doing podcasts like this, working with other like-minded people around the globe. And I'm making more connections on every continent to really help grow this industry, because it is by far the best industry out there. I'm just a little biased.
What a bold statement.
Yeah.
All the plumbers just clicked off. We got plumbers here, man.
Yeah.
No. What makes you say it's the best industry ever, besides the fact that it's your industry? I mean, why do you feel like it's the best?
Okay, well, because there's so many options. You could be an electrician from it, a plumber. You can be a contractor. You can be an installer, a commissioner, a startup tech. You could be a maintenance tech. That's 7 right there. And there's many more. And that's just as a refrigeration professional. Then there's sales, project managers, operating managers, sales managers, business owners. There's a big list of what you can do in this industry. Maybe you start out as a refrigeration professional and work a few years in it, and then you can get into all these other career paths because of just one industry. And not only that, you can make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions of dollars a year doing this. I have buddies who were
Did you say
technicians.
millions? Did you say millions? All right.
Millions.
We'll
and
talk
millions.
later. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. One of my buddies, he was a service manager and was a technician for many years. Started his own business like 4 or 5 years ago. And he's a 7-figure business in 5 years. Has 25 guys under him or 23 technicians on his team. It's going up to 35. His problem now is to get, not technicians, get vehicles. That's one of his issues.
Oh yeah, that's funny. Yeah, absolutely.
You can't get vehicles, but in this industry, you can grow really quickly, but you need to have a few things. You need to want to learn. You need to be a continual learner. You need to put the time in and the effort. The instant gratification is going to take you a lot longer to get wherever you want in life. And I was even there. I wanted everything now, until I got into the mindset that it takes time to get what you want. It may take 5, 10, 20 years, because I've been 18 years at it. You've been more than 18 years at it. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time to that journey that you're on. And if I can, anytime I do a talk, and if it's 150 kids or 200 kids, if I can get one of them interested in refrigeration or into a trade, it doesn't even have to be in refrigeration. I try to push them to refrigeration because there's so many options in it. You can travel the world. I lived around the world because of refrigeration. I've surfed in Hawaii and Australia and Indonesia, all these different places because of refrigeration. Not because of my university, my college diplomas, none of that stuff. It's because of refrigeration, the career that has taken me all over the place and continues to give back. I'm on this podcast because of refrigeration.
This is the pinnacle. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
It's all led till today.
Yes, today.
That's very good. But
that's
yeah.
Nice. So refrigeration mentor, what I'm going to do is make a difference in the world. I'm going to help refrigeration professionals get better, going to get them to grow, to become a better them if they want to be. And it's up to them at the end of the day. I can't change anyone. You can't change anyone. But if I can help guide them to the path that they're looking for, to be that expert, to be that go-to technician, to help business owners grow their business. Because I got a few other models that I'm working on as well. But right now I'm focused on commercial refrigeration, supermarket refrigeration, compressors, as well as CO2 refrigeration. That's some of my courses that I have. In the fall, I'm launching a few more. I'm working on building a team just to help, because I want to grow. I want to be on every continent, refrigeration mentor, have trainers on every continent to help do as a global scale to help people. And I want to work with people who want to help other people. I'm not doing this for the money. It's a lot of people are you doing okay? And it's always the family as well, right? Making any money, training business, starting off.
Nah, man, I need $1. You got $1?
Yeah. It's not about that. It's about the more value you bring someone, the more it comes back. So the more value I keep bringing people, I see opportunities everywhere now. More opportunities coming. I'm on this podcast. Massive opportunity. Because I'm bringing value. I'm putting
this isn't HVAC school. This is Shop Talk. I didn't know if you clicked the wrong link.
See, that's where you got to change your tone. This is the podcast.
I've been watching news anchors in the evening, and this is Shop Talk.
That's right. There you go.
Something like that. Yeah.
There you go. That's it.
I got this. I'm headed places too. I'll see you there, actually. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I hear there's sharks off Australia. That's why I haven't done that yet.
What's wrong with sharks?
They eat people.
Oh, do they?
I watched several movies starting in the 70s that said they did.
I
don't know if those were
that is why there's a shortage of sharks in the world.
No, of course, Soul Surfer as well. But I really appreciate you coming on here tonight. I had a lot of fun. You're well suited for this. This is fun. You're going to be a great podcaster.
Thank you. I appreciate
I give you about an hour and a half before you surpass this show. So I'm going to enjoy this time
It's
here.
going to take a long time.
No. It'll be fine. You're going places, I can tell that. And I want to go ahead and invite you now just so I can have you do it live and these people can hold you to it to come back and talk to us again here in maybe a month or two or something like that.
Sure.
We'll see if you're still fired up or the people that you've been teaching have just got all your hair's going to be like all out. You'll be gray haired going, these kids are idiots. I can't talk to these people.
No,
we'll compare and see which one.
Now, anybody who wants to learn, who wants to, and that's what I talk with the business owners, to be honest with you. I don't want anybody in my course. You don't just push technicians. Oh, I got 25 techs. They all come to course. No, it's just not. I want people who want to learn. If you want to just come and get paid, and because some companies pay for the courses for them to be there, that's not for me. I'm there to help the people who want to learn, because there's so many technicians out there and refrigeration professionals who want to grow and get better, but just don't always have the opportunity. And I'm trying to make that opportunity a bit easier for those professionals.
Absolutely. That's great. I think that's fantastic what you're doing. And I do look forward to getting an update on how it's going, how it's developed over. I guess by the time you come back, it'll probably be about a year, since you said it was 10 months, I think, that you've been at this. Yeah. So you're probably about a year when you come back. Give us an update of what's going on and what's coming up in the future.
Awesome. I definitely will do that.
All right, guys, you heard him. He said he was going to do it. So, I mean, if he comes back and has twice as many followers, I can't make it today. You said you were coming.
Let's do it tomorrow.
It's not enough time. You won't grow enough by then. I need to bring in some extra people now. You're going to bring people with
you. There's growth happens in 12 hours.
I need all your social media followers to come over here. Yeah, that's nice.
Have them all. That's fine. There you go. Do like that, and just all you do is bring value to people, right? Be different than what's going on out there. It's not about me. It's about them. And that's what I tell all the people in my courses. It's not about me. And half the people in my course are way smarter than I am. I want to bring different enlightenments during these trainings. So,
well, you're first in this small group you're in right now for sure. On the screen here, how do people get in touch with you if they want to ask you a question about how to get trained or just any questions in general?
Awesome. You can head to the refrigerationmentor.com webpage, and then I have comments there. So if you shoot your name and email in there and shoot what question you have, that comes to me. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. So I'm pretty avid on LinkedIn. You shoot me a message there. I'll get back to you on there. My goal is to message everyone that asks a question. I don't have always the answer. A lot of times I don't have the answer, to be honest with you, but I always get back to people. I do my best, even though when there's dozens to hundreds of messages coming in and DMs, I try to get them all. It might take a couple hours sometimes, but I try to message everybody the best as possible. So LinkedIn, you can check my webpage out, refrigerationmentor.com. Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram. Just got on TikTok. I listen to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's been saying it for years. Trevor, get on TikTok. Trevor, get on TikTok. Well, it wasn't really saying my name, but he's telling you this is where you got to be. So I just got on there now. So really any platform, and I'll do my best to answer your questions.
I appreciate that. I'm on TikTok too. It's okay.
I just seen the one you posted. I told you that.
That's right. So that was TikTok. Well, I put them on a couple different ones, but yeah, TikTok and Instagram. I try. You have to do it, I guess, to be on there to get the message out, because people are spread out now. But I want to thank you for coming on. I know we have to transition out and I got to close things down. So I want to thank you and go ahead and just look forward to seeing you again and talking again in the future.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Trevor. I'm going to say goodbye for today. Trevor, thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate that. That was pretty good right there. First time on the show. First of many, many times, because we had him. He said it on the air. He's coming back. Okay. And we have a good time. A lot of times with the guests, we have a pretty good time on the show, talking, horsing around, learning a little bit. Guys, if you had any comments, I didn't see any comments that had the orange on it that I needed to see. Thank you, Brent Ridley, for the super chat. I appreciate that. And yes, he is Canadian. That was one of the questions. And we did have one plumber. He was not offended enough to leave, though. I don't know how you got in here, though, to be honest with you. There's supposed to be someone at the door. Plumbers. Yeah. If water goes downhill, trade mastered. I'm just kidding. Don't be angry. Stay subscribed. So, guys, I don't think we have enough time to play skilled trade up tonight. It's 10:07. I don't know, but I love playing skilled trade up, man. All right, I'll give it to you guys. Does anyone in the chat right now want to play skilled trade up tonight? I will give it to you while I look at the results of our poll here. It says, do you have your EPA card? That is the poll for tonight. 96% say yes, 4% say no. That's okay. Not everybody has their EPA card. You get into the trade. A lot of times people will get it as part of trade school or something like that. But, you know, I didn't have mine when I first started. I started a family business. And we see Nathaniel Crum says, do it. Okay. All right, well, what I'll do is I'll take a little break right here. And when I come back, we will have one game of skilled trade up. All right. I'll give you the link. You'll see it in the next 30 seconds or so. And the first one, well, not the first one in. We'll do a little bit of a Google random number generator, make it fair for you fast internet connection guys. So just give me just a second. I'll be right back, and then we'll play one round of skilled trade up. Look for that link in the chat. Be quick to hit it. The best forced air zoning controls in the HVAC industry come from EWC Controls. This includes the Workhorse BM Plus 3000 zone panel, 3 zones, multiple dip switches so you can customize the controls to your particular system install. Another workhorse of the system is the URD and ND dampers. These power open, power closed dampers are both reliable and long lasting. So for the entire life of your system, you won't be replacing your zoning components. And lastly, the innovative SBD2 static pressure bypass with the wireless NFC interface take this whole thing to a new level of precision and reliability, because you can set your system right there at your fingertips to the particular static pressure you need. No more guesswork, no more barometric arms. Go to EWC Controls Incorporated. You can find them online to learn more, and look for them in your local supply house. Alrighty, let's see here. We have 3 people down there, and I'm going to use the Google random number generator to see who's going to play. So let me go over to the Google screen. That's what that's called. Google screen, we have 1 to 3 here. Number 1 will be Gerald. Number 2 is Nate. Number 3 is Bimco. So 1, 2, or 3. Again, 1 Gerald. 2 Nate. 2 Nates tonight. Sorry, sidetracked. 3 Bimco. All right, Nate's got it. 2. Wait a second. Okay. For a second there, I only saw one finger, and I thought it was derogatory. All right, Nate. Okay, I got you now. So the winner is actually going to be... It's Nate. Nate's going to play. Gerald just threw his phone at the wall. I think it's broken. Just kidding. All right, so Nate's going to play. Nate, let's see here. I'm going to add you to the stream. Bemco just left. He's angry. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can. I can't hardly see you because you're doing that John Travolta thing from Pulp Fiction.
You can't see my mouth moving.
Oh, I see. It's like the football players that are getting plays piped into their ears. They're talking. They can't see it because they're like, all right, the answer's probably B right there, so just go ahead and use B.
Because that's actually not me right now.
It looks
That
like
is
you.
someone else.
So this is getting
It's
trippy.
me. Let's get this rolling. Let's get this rolling.
Wait, it is you. All right, so great. I don't have to explain any rules. That's great. It always streamlines the process here. And you're familiar with this game, having played it before, and you'll have 10 questions. Get all 10 of them right, you have no problems. There are lifelines. There is a new lifeline, swap. You can get a new question. Get a question.
Cool.
You think a question sucks? It's like, I don't want to answer this question. You can get a new question. It'll be the same difficulty level, but it might be something that's in your wheelhouse. Of course, you can ask the chat too, or use the 50-50.
Yep.
There's your potential prizes ranging from $20 all the way up to $250, or what we called last year, $450. Thanks, inflation. All right. But I digress.
One square yard of 2x4s, or there's like one 2x4.
The 2x4s are going down now. This doesn't make any sense. Nothing makes any sense anymore. You can't find a chip for a car, but you can now buy 3 2x4s for $20 or 4 or something. I don't know. It's irrelevant. So I'm going to give you your first question. Your first question is the gimme. The gimme question is often extremely easy. So if you fail on this question, don't ever try to play this game again. That sounds horrible, doesn't it? But you're going to get it. So
Good advice.
yeah, it's like the worst thing ever. What do you mean? This is for $20, and this is basically me handing you $20 for nothing. Here you go. Residential HVAC systems usually max out at 200 on bench press, 5 tons of capacity, leaking refrigerant, or 20 foot tall.
Ooh, I wish it was D, but I'm going to go with B.
B, 5 tons of capacity. That's your final answer.
Yes.
All right, here's our brand new way to do this sort of thing. I love this. This is great.
Sir, yes, sir. Oh, yeah.
So it's correct.
There we go.
If you couldn't tell, it's
I like it.
$20. Let's go for
Keep
$40.
going. Let's keep going.
All right, here we go. Next question's easy level. Hot surface and spark describes types of A, compressors, B, conduit connectors, C, igniters, D, relays.
C, igniters.
Is your final answer?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I don't know if you're going to be right. I don't know.
Sir, yes, sir. Oh, yeah.
Oh, it looks like you were right. Okay, evidently that was
I've
correct.
seen a furnace before. Not everyone has. Not everyone has.
That's hard for somebody like it's a South Florida. It's like ignite. What are you talking about? Hot surface, like the road outside?
You're from around here. There's not an awful lot of furnaces.
No, there's not an awful lot of them. There's a lot of spark because there's a lot of gas packs. Not a lot of
Yeah,
furnaces.
and you know what? Nobody does that anymore. Anything new is not going to be spark unless you're a Ream, maybe. I don't know what they do.
They might be.
They do weird stuff.
The Goodmans were spark for a long time. I don't know what they are now. It's irrelevant. No one buys Goodman except for everybody on the internet.
Well,
that
you know
doesn't have
why?
a contractor.
You know why they're all going to be hot surface is because the new stuff lessens the voltage to the hot surface and tries to still light it. And if it can do less, it uses less. So it uses the least amount of electricity to spark it. And if it doesn't spark it, it just uses a little bit more next time.
That's interesting. I've never heard that before. That's pretty cool. All right.
Yeah.
Learning on Skilled Trade Up. Who would
There
have
you
thought?
go.
That's
Let's keep
crazy.
going. Let's keep going.
So you've won $40. Let's go for $50. And here we go for $50. How many CFM is used to deliver a standard ton of cooling on a typical unitary air conditioning system? A, 100, B, 200, C, 300, D, 400.
Is this like Wheel of Fortune, or what's that one where if you go over you don't get it? Price is
That's
Right.
Price is Right. Yeah, you get the most without going over.
Yeah, then it would be C, but I'm gonna go with D.
D is your final answer.
Yes.
Well, is that enough tension for you? Well,
Yeah,
let's
no, I
see.
reread it. I'm scared now. I reread everything. But
Let's
keep going.
see if your fears will be assuaged. Here we go.
Sir, yes, sir. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Guess I went wrong. Yeah,
Yep.
although a lot of systems out in the field run like 300 CFM for sure, 400 is a nominal tonnage that people have gone by for a long time.
I like the TAM 6 air handlers that train air handlers we do. The dip switch is the normal setting is 346 per ton. That's the normal.
Weird.
High would be the 400.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess carrier comfort setting's 350, so that makes sense. Okay.
I don't know what those
Yeah.
guys do.
What they do is, they have efficiency levels they have to hit, but then when you actually install it, they're like, well, it's not going to be comfortable unless you lower the blower speed because of the sensible ratio would be way too high. So you have to back it off a little
so
bit.
Train's doing a good thing by doing it where it's actually going to be, rather than trying to get some extra brownie points for efficiency points.
Yeah, not in that area anyway. I'm sure some area they're trying, but who knows? Man, how much money you got? Like $50 now? You want to go
50,
get
let's keep going. I don't like that number.
50 is a weird number with an odd number in it. Let's go for 60, an even number with an even number in it. That's logical. All right, that's fine. Here we go. The last easy question is, which refrigerant is used to replace R22 in residential HVAC systems? A, 410A, B, 404A, C, 422B, D, 1234ZE.
Ooh. You know what? This is something that I don't know, because to me there's nothing else than R22. So when people talk about this, it goes in one ear out. I don't even listen. So I don't know. So I'm gonna do take two away.
All right, the two remaining are going to be B, 404A, C, 422B.
You did that on purpose, because those are the two that I think it would be.
I'm super psychic. So, all right, do you recognize those? This is at
Yeah.
at your house. You had an R22 system, and you had to replace the refrigerant. What would you be putting in it?
Blue on.
Hey, blue on. Hey, I could have put blue on here,
Yeah.
but I didn't.
I feel like it's 404A.
Now, since you're unsure, do you want to use a lifeline? Again, you have 3 lifelines, or do you want to wing it?
Well, I used one, and I don't necessarily trust the chat, and I don't want to throw away an easy one.
Well, now they're not going to help you at all. They're going to give you the wrong answer now. So
let's see.
you can
Let's
swap.
see. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's ask the chat. But you
Ask
only got
the
to
chat.
ask them the two. Ask them the two.
Oh, yeah, it's just the 2. All right, so what I'm going to do now is we're actually going to take like a break for just a minute. We'll let the chat vote on this. I had just turned the live chat off. I'm turning it right back on here. And we're going to disappear off the screen for just a second. And we're going to let you vote, guys. So you're going to go in between 404A, B, or 422B, C. Let me get our stuff.
B, C. Wait, no. A. Wait.
So which one is right? Is it going to be 404A or is it going to be 422B? I'm putting up the poll now.
If it's closer than 75-25, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to trust it.
So we got the poll developing now. And actually, all right, we're going to take a break for just a second. We're going to come back in 2 minutes and just hold tight there, Nate. We'll be back in 2 minutes and we'll see what these guys think.
Yep.
All right, we're back here. And 93% of the guys, so it's either a concerted effort to destroy you, or they're right, say 422B, which is C.
Oh, I'm so glad because I wasn't going to say that. But no, I trust them. So definitely C.
All right, final answer. Did the chat sabotage you? Let's
Maybe.
find out right
Maybe, but
now.
I believe they did. They're good guys.
You're about to know.
People. They're good people.
Sir, yes, sir. Oh, yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
team effort.
they never do that to you, man. You got
Yeah.
4 questions right, man. You're sitting with $60. Do you want to keep going? You got one lifeline left.
Just keep
right?
going. Keep going.
Keep going. This is the first medium question now. And good luck to you. Here we go. All right. The chat came through. Chat, you guys are great. I got to turn you guys off, though, because sometimes you help out without even thinking about it. I think that's what happens most of the time. They just start answering stuff. They don't realize that they're not supposed to help out until the right time, which is fine. That's okay. So here we are. Our first medium question. Here you go. A 6-inch round metal duct has an area of A, 28.26 inches, B, 18.84 inches, C, 36, D, 41.34 inches. Hey, math, what are you thinking?
Can I use a calculator?
Man, you don't want to use no calculator. Hey, you know what? If you have a calculator, I don't care if you use a calculator. The point is to know the formula. That's the whole point of this question.
Right, but then you got. But I don't like the math part. That's the calculator, because area of a circle is pi r squared.
It sounds like a question. I don't think I should answer that, though.
Yeah, you should. I don't even remember. I should know. Honestly, I should know this, but is it pi r squared?
I think that Aunt B, whenever I watched the Andy Griffith show, said that pi are round. They're not square.
That's really good.
That's a
I'm gonna
legit
use that.
thing from the show, too.
I'm
I
gonna
do believe they
use
said
that.
that. Yeah.
You know what? Skip the question.
Oh, you want to skip this one and
Yeah.
trade it out?
Yeah.
All right, okay. So, all right, you skipped the question right here. I will tell you what the answer is because we won't use this question again. The answer was going to be A, 28.26. That is pi r squared, 3.14 times radius squared, which would have been 3 times 3, which is 9. So,
Yep.
it
would have been, but it's all right. I didn't feel confident.
hey, if you're not feeling confident, then the best thing is to do what you just did.
got available to, yeah.
That's exactly right. So this is your final lifeline. This is another medium question, and here you go. This one falls under business, so we'll see if this does better or worse for you. HVAC companies usually have a minimum insurance policy of $1 million of A, general liability, B, workman's compensation, C, payroll, D, health.
Let's say A, general liability, off the cuff.
Final answer?
Yes.
All right, so the final answer is now locked in. How confident are you about that?
Now I'm not.
Well, I mean, it's just the way I'm trained to talk during these game shows.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you really feel good about this? I mean,
Really? No, let's do it. I want to know.
This the suspense is the point, but here we go. Is he right?
Sir, yes, sir. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. General liability usually get $1 million at least. Some people require $2 million. If you work for a contractor, they want you to carry X amount, and usually $1 million is the bottom of the barrel as far as what you would carry. So now you've accrued all the way up. You're a $70 toting dude.
Yeah.
So you're gonna keep the $70, get yourself a core remover at True Tech Tools, or you're gonna try.
I
Hey,
need one of those.
You could do that.
Yeah. No, I do think I'm gonna grab and go because I'm out of all of my, things, and 10 is a lot of questions.
You're
So
stopping?
I am.
God bless you, child. Someone stopped the game and won. Unbelievable. I wish I had music for this. Like streamers would come down from the sky.
I ran out of stuff. I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead. I am a winner of all 3 when it was 3 questions, but I'm gonna play this game differently.
I think that's really smart. Get the valve core remover. All I need from you is to email me so I have your email address because it'll come electronically.
Yep.
So you'll get the email with the oh, that's awesome. Well, congratulations, man. don't forget to email and let me know what you. Hey, use the Shop Talk discount code. That's what you
I
can
will
do.
let you know. Yeah, no, always do. There's so many out there. Everyone
Yeah,
and their
there's a
mom,
lot.
everyone and their mom has them, but I do always use yours. May be the easiest to remember. It may just because I'm loyal to you. So it's
Hey,
always,
man,
it always has been. It
I'll
always
take
has
either
been.
one. Yeah,
Even I maybe used HVAC schools sometimes in the early days, but that's 2018. Who knows what we were doing in 2018?
yeah, young and stupid. I mean, just
Yeah.
running around like I'm gonna use the get schooled code. Yeah, okay. Well, times are changing, man. I'm way more down to earth than he is. Come on, just stick with Shop Talk. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah,
He's super nice. Okay, but he has enough money, so just use
yeah.
my code.
I will for sure.
All right, great, man. So email me. I'll get that sent over there to you, and congratulations. All right,
Yeah, bye.
all right. Take it easy, man. That was cool, man. He won. All right, winner, chicken dinner. Finally, after all this time, we're gonna open up the chat again for a couple more minutes, but it's almost my bedtime. Actually, it's not. I'm gonna walk my dog and I'm gonna work for another 3 hours probably, because I'm psychotically devoted to work. Because I have so many children, I'm paranoid that with one, especially nowadays. Okay, we'll close with this because this is actually a serious conversation. And welcome back to the chat. If you have any amount of children, I have 4 children, and with stuff that's going on now with gas being up to, I don't know what it was the other day when I got it, in the mid 4s, upper 4s, depending on where you're at here, and it gets higher than that other places. And with the cost of everything from the dog food doubled in price to the milk going up to everything going up, it is a challenge with a bunch of children, one going to college, and you guys feel this too. This isn't just me. This is all across the board. It is a challenge to try to make ends meet in this time in our country. So it is good to have a trades job. It's good to make that money, but there are certain circumstances in which this becomes a battle, and this is definitely a battle now because we're facing this extreme challenge here. And our group, our guys here in the chat, we're used to working. We're used to working hard. And I don't want to live in a time when working hard doesn't equal prosperity, because I think if you work hard, you should get what you want. And I think you do. But now is a challenging time. And there's a little bit of, like, you ever heard of Russian roulette, where like you'll have a customer that says, we can't do this stuff anymore. We got to find somebody else that's cheaper, even though it's, low ball stuff. These are the challenging times we live in. It's the Russian roulette of new customer, or for me, like a customer or a sponsor or something like that, going, we just can't do this right now at this particular time. You never know when that's going to happen. And it has happened to me. It happened to me recently, actually. And it's probably happened to you guys too, out there in the field. So it's tough. I'm thinking about you guys. I know it's a hard time, and it's just a hard time to be working in America. And hopefully that turns around a little bit here in the near future. I hope it does. Guys, I'll be back on Sunday night. No guest, I don't think. I might actually do something, and you guys can let me know what you think about this. Maybe keep it like a certain format for each day. We don't have to do that. And, it just depends on what you guys think. We could do interviews on a certain day a week, but then that might hamstring a guest. I'm just kind of spitballing out loud here. In fact, we'll do a little bit more of that as time goes by. I don't know. We might not have to do that. Just keep it the way it is. Probably good advice for me. But I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go walk the dog. My son's going to go with me. We like to do a little walk on our quiet country street at night, wrap things up, do a little bit of work, and head for bed. I hope you guys do the same thing. Have a good Friday. And I will see you guys on. Let me get my button ready. The next one.